Alright, y'all. So, Helldivers 2 has been a game I, like many others, have been completely addicted to for the past month, maybe a month and a half. I don't know how long it's been since I've been playing now. If you couldn't tell by how many videos I've been putting out on this channel. And I figured, you know, I'd share my favorite stratagems, my favorite weapons, and my favorite armor that I've been using for my, what is it? 70-something hours of gameplay now. 70, I just passed 75 or something like that. I'll post a screenshot. You know, this doesn't mean that they're going to be the absolute best. These are just the ones that I find the best use for my playstyle. And I also want to preface that I haven't even finished a single warbond yet. Oops. But I also haven't played 200, 300, 400 hours like every other Helldivers YouTuber. So feel free to just watch for my favorite stratagems or your favorite stratagems. Skip all the way to the weapons. Watch the whole thing. Watch it in parts. You know, just know that I put a lot of time and effort in this video, and I believe it's one of my best. Whatever you came here for, I truly appreciate it. Just, you know, I spent a couple of hours on this, so please enjoy. So let's start with the stratagems. The first one that I always take, no matter the mission or the faction, is the Eagle Airstrike. A barrage of bombs creating a non-targeted carpet of explosions. And in my opinion, this is the most versatile stratagem in the game. It helps take out bug holes, automaton fabricators. It takes out the big boys like the Battle Titan or a Hulk or a Devastator. And it generally takes out giant hordes of enemies that are trying to swarm you. And it's perfect, man. You can upgrade it with the liquid ventilated cockpit, reducing the cooldown time by 50%. The pit crew hazard pay, reducing the rearm time by 20%. And the expanded weapons bay, increasing the number of uses per rearm by 1. And even the extra large XXL weapons bay, dropping 1 more bomb per throw, and this will be the most dangerous stratagem in your arsenal. You know, the next one's a toss-up, depending on the mission as well as what my teammates using. Most of the time I'll take the orbital laser. It's a giant laser cannon that will sweep over the designated area, vaporizing all targets within the effective radius. You know, the laser is great for massive hordes of enemies swamping you and your team, and I've been using it also to take out medium or large fabricator areas. You know, it can be used to take out heavies, but the problem is it takes a lot of time. Usually they need a little bit more damage done to them because a heavy will sometimes take out your entire laser and won't get to the little guys around you. So support weapons. This is also a big toss-up for me. All reliable is the expendable anti-tank or EAT, EAT, whatever you want to call it. This is my big boomstick. A charger is chasing you down, you know, it'll go down with 1 shot to the face. You got nasty hive defenders. Those go boom with 1 shot to the face as well. Bio Titan's not leaving you alone. They're allergic to missiles. Shoot both of them. Go boom. Call this stratagem down. You get 2 of these just in a few seconds. You hit your first shot. You have a second one for free. You miss your first shot. You have a second one to redeem yourself. But you've missed both shots. I don't know what to tell you. I do it sometimes. Don't worry about it. For me, I enjoy the EAT so much more just because of the fact that I don't have to be so accurate with it. And it just goes boom. Plus a 60-second cooldown time on a callback is just amazing. Being able to call this thing down at any moment on the battlefield when you need it. You don't have to worry about the ammo like other support weapons. It's just a very short cooldown. You know, the other problem I have though is the automatons. There's just too many heavies on an automaton battlefield for me to pick from. So for example, I use it on a Hulk, and then here comes a tank. I just feel surrounded by too many units whenever I play one of those, and start panic shooting, and probably could have shot it at something better. All you really need is to upgrade this is the streamlined weapon process, reducing the cooldown time by 10% from 70 seconds to 60 seconds like I was talking about. When it comes to the automatons, I've been using the rail cannon a lot more, and I enjoy it more and more every time. It's got the perfect armor pen in my eyes, with a mostly charged burst taking out most of the enemies, and heavier enemies with a heavier charged burst. You know, because I have an issue of being accurate to the weak points. You know, sometimes I hold the charge down too long while it's in unsafe mode, and yeah. I've actually been taking the railgun for most of the automaton missions just because most are weak to it, or at least help take down the bots and most bot types. The problem with the Terminids is that they seem to be taking shots like a sponge, and it doesn't seem too consistent when it comes to your chargers or your Bio Titans. You know, this one takes a little bit more upgrade to go. The rail cannon, I mean. The streamlined request process again for that 10% cooldout time, the donation access license to call in your support weapons with maximum ammo, superior packing technology to completely resupply from one ammo box. You know, so I'll use the expendable anti-tank / eat for the bugs and the railgun for automatons, you know, and very rarely vice versa. The last stratagem I take is another stratagem that I change up depending on the faction for most of the time, but nowadays I'm finding myself opting for the second option. So for the Terminids, I bring in the guard dog rover, or rover guard dog, whatever you want to call it. Your own little bodyguard for those pesky bugs that like to sneak up on you after chasing you across the entire battlefield. You can focus on the big guys in front of you while your rover takes out the little guys trying to swarm you. But the only problem is it doesn't care if you walk in front of it, and sometimes it'll take you out too. Other than that, it's perfect. For the automatons, the personal shield generator, a little bubble that surrounds you for a little bit more protection from those lasers shooting at you and missiles trying to blast you from afar. In my eyes, it gives you more protection while you're running around, almost like a little bit more armor on top of your armor. You could even use it against bugs for that reason, and that's why sometimes I do now, because I don't feel like getting blasted by my rover, and I get that extra layer from getting swiped. Both of these can be upgraded with the handcart chip module, reducing the cooldown time on them by 10%. So, a few runner-up stratagems I use if I'm feeling a bit frisky, or if I need to change it up per the mission. The 500 kilogram bomb, basically a mini hell bomb. Initially has 1 before the rearm, and then 2 once you upgrade it. It's great for heavies that are a bit rougher to deal with, or giant hordes of enemies that are giving you a hard time. It even helps with bug holes, or fabricators, or any of those little areas you need to take out, like the giant eggs. You just have to be more accurate with your throw, so I personally don't take it too often because 1 or 2 of my teammates always have it, and you know, that's why I don't like to really switch it up too much. Plus with the Eagle Strike, and you manually rearm rather than let it rearm itself, then both of those stratagems rearm and leave you with a little bit less in your inventory. Or the orbital rail cannon, a high velocity rail cannon round fired at the target's target in close proximity to the beacon. With a shot from rail cannon, most heavies just drop, but on occasion they'll need a hit from an airstrike or the expendable, for example, or just another support weapon. Plus, you don't really need to worry about the accuracy with this one either. See, with the laser, we'll just track it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. And the rail cannon just blasts it right onto the field. Another run-up is the brand new quasar cannon. This thing hits like a truck most of the time. When I'm testing it and using it, about 75% of my shots obliterated the enemy, whether it be a bug or an automaton, but the other 25%, it just did absolutely nothing. So mostly hit and other times miss, but the downside, in my opinion, though, is the long cooldown time that it has in order for it to fire again. It may be great on frozen planets, but I haven't gotten that far into using it very much. Last one on my list, of course, is the exosuit. Big robot, Gatling gun, missiles. Enough said. The only problem, in my opinion, is it blows up way too easily, and it's just a waste for an extremely long cooldown. Now, moving on to the weapons, my go-to primary, even though I know it's not the absolute best in the game, is the SG-8 Punisher. This thing hits hard when it needs to, has the ability to stagger just about every single enemy in the game, minus like a Bile Titan or a tank. And gives you a little bit more breathing room for the ones that like to bum rush you out of nowhere. This is my favorite thing about this, is that it loads 1 shell at a time. So if you're in a pinch, you can run, load a shell or 2, and then turn and fire, rather than waiting for the entire mag to drop out and reload. And if you panic reload, you're not really wasting a bunch of ammo. Like if you're using the breaker shotgun, which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy using it from time to time as well. But I also just unlocked the Slugger, which is basically the Punisher on crack, sacrificing the distance that the Punisher seems to have for more armor pen on those medium enemies and losing a little bit of the stagger. So I switch between the Punisher and the Slugger. If I really feel like switching it up, I'll go to seemingly everyone's favorite primary weapon currently, is the LAS Sickle. I really enjoy the energy-based assault rifle myself, mostly unlimited ammo unless you overheat it, or you have to replace that heat sink, of course, over a few seconds. But that's really my issue. When I'm just going to town and mowing down crowds of enemies, I usually overheat the weapon and have to turn and run and reload before I can start mowing down enemies again. I also seem to have issues with the automatons where it doesn't seem to have enough armor penetration, but usually good for hitting like the weak points and the vents on the back, but that's probably just a skill issue in my opinion. Secondaries, my personal favorite is the revolver. It packs a heavy punch. This one also reloads a bullet at a time instead of a whole mag. You know, I think I'm starting to see a pattern here. But anyway, it gives me some serious space cowboy vibes as well, and you know, that's pretty cool for a Helldiver. Before using this though, everybody's favorite, the little homie, is the machine pistol. It's a very close second. It's basically an SMG on your hip, and if you're getting overran or you're carrying a package across the battlefield, this is the perfect gun to mag dump and go. I haven't unlocked the grenade pistol yet, but I'm assuming once I get the grenade pistol, I'm going to be using that over the revolver, just because it seems like the most versatile secondary weapon, in my opinion. Grenades is the impact grenade, which I'm starting to favor over the first. They work just the same, but has a 0 timer and blows up as soon as it hits the enemy, just like the name says. But the only issue that I have with them is trying to toss them into bug holes or fabricators. You have to be pinpoint exact with those. Again, another accuracy problem. The last portion of my loadout is probably the one I changed the most depending on the mission, the faction, what else my team is doing, because I use all 3 armor types. I'll run the light armor when I'm trying to traverse the map as fast as possible, having that little bit more speed and stamina to collect resources, sample farm, requisition, super credits, things like that. I'll grab one with the scout passive, letting me have the ability to ping areas that are probably guarded by a few mobs to find the bunkers, POIs, Zeus's doorknob, and the secondary ability, which helps you make sure you're not spotted as easily. That also really helps when enemy trolls are coming towards me and I don't really feel like engaging. Really good for both Terminate and Automaton missions where you don't need to fight the whole time and do a little bit of ninja work, like that video I just posted, to get the objectives done. Medium armor is probably the one I run the most though, just because I enjoy the fast-paced run and gun, and doing a lot of fighting almost every mission, and I'll mainly use the medic passive, having 2 extra stems and a buff to the stem duration. It's absolutely goated, especially on higher difficulties with heavier enemies that hit harder. The 2 extra stems for the constant battles and the duration to have a little bit more stamina to keep running, or sometimes I even make sure I have a little bit of health missing just so I can pop a stem and keep running without having to worry about my stamina recharging. Now the heavy armor I use a little bit less than the other 2, but you can, now that they fixed it, you can take 10% less damage, which helps for those harder to survive missions, at least at my mediocre level of play. A little bit more health, a little bit more damage taken always helps in my eyes. I balance between the servo assisted, take a little bit more yeet for the grenades and my stratagems, as well as the limb health being helpful. But when I'm on the struggle bus, I mainly against bots, I'll run the big beefy armor, try to stay alive a little bit longer, have a little bit more explosion, resistance, and limb health. And I think that covers it, ladies and gentlemen. That covers the entire loadout. My favorite stratagems, my favorite weapons and armor. But if I missed anything, let me know. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not claiming these are the best at all. I'm just making a video on what I find most useful, most fun to play with, at least for my play style. And it might change. I started using the new explosive sniper, and that was pretty fun. But there's also going to be more warbonds that come out in the future, so that could be another thing that change it. But if you guys made it this far into the video, if you watched the entire thing, I thank you so much. If you found it informative, leave a like and comment for me. If you think there's any better loadouts out there, I totally encourage you to use them instead. Or at least let me know down in the comments what you think I should use. I just don't really keep up with the quote-unquote meta of this game, since it changes almost every week. And sometimes the consistency isn't there, depending on your platform, who you're playing with, if you're host, if you're not host. Anyways, I've been Koehltrain. I appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you in the next one.